Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just announced their nominees for 2026 induction. 17 people are nominated for the performer category, and we're going to go through it, and I'm going to tell you my feelings like I do every year. We're going to start with the first nomination. In alphabetical order, it is the Black Crowes. It is their second nomination. Now, I am a fan of the Black Crowes. A big fan, actually. I think I have all their albums except for their last album. So here's their box set of their first 4 albums. Really strong. And I got a whole bunch of their other albums. I'm just trying to show you that, yeah, I'm a fan of the Black Crowes. I was psyched when they first started. I think their first 2 albums are classics. After that, you know, they're good. They're a very good rock and roll band. This is their greatest hits. And if you look at their greatest hits, a lot of great songs on there. But there's a lot of songs on there that are just, you know, really good. And that brings up the first issue I want to talk about, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know, it's an ongoing thing. Every year it's a show. Every year they got to come up with nominees. And they try to do a lot of diversity that we're going to see. And after a while, you run out of really those top tier artists. And what is your goal in a Hall of Fame? Now, to me, from the get-go, the Hall of Fame should have been the greatest artists of all time. The ultimate, the tip-top. You walk into that hall, and you're like in awe. But the problem is, if you keep doing a show year after year, it starts getting watered down, and you want to put new artists in, you know, every year. And you're going to get to artists that are really good, but are they really at that all-time top tier? Are they the Rolling Stones and The Who and Led Zeppelin and Bruce Springsteen and U2 and the Beatles? You get the idea. The Black Crowes are a really, really good band. They're the real deal, and it's a rare thing to have them. Are they, are they Hall of Fame worthy? Well, they certainly are based on who they're letting in now. But that's that debate. What level do you go to? I think the Black Crowes are the real deal. I'm a fan. But are they the greatest of all time? I don't know. All right, next up, Jeff Buckley. This is his first nomination. And Jeff Buckley, of course, had one album, Grace, from 1994. A lot of people think it's one of the greatest albums of all time. He was working on the second album, My Sweetheart the Drunk, when he passed away, drowned by the age of 30. A real tragedy for sure. His father was Tim Buckley, who died at the age of 28 from drugs. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Jeff Buckley's got a great voice, but do you put somebody in the Hall of Fame because of one album? An album that a lot of people swear by, but you never really hear it played on the radio that much anymore, and the most famous song from it is one of the greatest songs of all time, written by Leonard Cohen, Hallelujah. In fact, on Grace, there's only 7 originals and 3 covers. So do you put Jeff Buckley in for one album, even if you think it's amazing? And that's another issue I have with the Hall of Fame. Because there's a lot of great one albums. You know, how do you not have Boston in? Do debut albums get ever better than the debut of Boston? I don't think so. But they put the Go-Go's in the Hall of Fame. Why? Well, I would probably say because they had a Broadway show at the time, and it was a public relations landslide, and they had to put it all together, and it was perfect timing to put the Go-Go's in. But the fact of the matter is the Go-Go's have one amazing album, Beauty and the Beat. I love it, one of my favorite debut albums of all time. Do you put the Go-Go's in for one album? Well, the Hall of Fame did. I wouldn't have. I would have a separate category where here's amazing albums, maybe Hall of Fame worthy albums. This would have been in there. Maybe you'd put Grace in there. But it doesn't make them a Hall of Fame artist where they have longevity and a great discography, etc. Next up, Mariah Carey, her third nomination, her third year in a row. I am not a Mariah Carey fan. I don't have a single one of her albums. I actually can't stand her. But she has an amazing voice. Based on who the Hall of Fame is putting in, Whitney Houston, etc., and it really should be the Popular Music Hall of Fame, she should be in there. She's one of the biggest artists of all time. But I can't stand her. She's not rock and roll to me. Next up, Phil Collins, his first nomination. Well, let's be truthful. I'm a huge Genesis fan. I'm actually a huge Phil Collins fan. I thought he was one of the best drummers. I love watching him. He's a great singer. You know, when he went solo, in a way, unfortunately, he was just too popular. You know, this is a great album, face value. The second album, Hello, I Must Be Going, is also a really good album. And so is No Jacket Required. You know, he borderlines onto pop, but seriously, all of these albums have amazing songs. Here's Both Sides. He's got a hell of a discography. That's all I have. I stopped getting his later albums. Serious Hits Live is one of the great live albums. This is a killer live album, and here's a hits collection. The guy is a machine, and there's a reason why he was one of the most successful artists of his time as a solo artist. Does Phil Collins deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Well, certainly based on who else they're nominating, I have no problem putting in Phil Collins. Absolutely. Next up, you got Melissa Etheridge. Well, here's another one. Melissa Etheridge, her debut album came out in 1988. I bought it. I liked it. I thought it was really good. She's had a long career. She's got 16 albums. Various success. You know, she's had 3 top 10 albums in the United States. Again, here's her best of collection. You know, she's good. I think she's good. I like a lot of her tracks. Is this her best songs? Is this Hall of Fame worthy? Like, you know, is this the greatest music of all time? I don't think so. I don't even think she's close. I think she's good. There's a lot of people who are good. Now, of course, are they going to put her in? Just say it, man. It's diversity. You know, she's, you know, an openly lesbian rock and roll female. That's kind of a rare thing. There's other ones, Joan Jett, whoever. You know, I'll tell you one thing. I think the Indigo Girls are a lot better than Melissa Etheridge. And the Indigo Girls could rock, trust me. So, you know, I wouldn't put them in either. But I'd put them in over Melissa Etheridge. There you go. All right, who's next on the list? Lauryn Hill. 1 nomination, her first nomination. 1 album. Same story as Jeff Buckley. 1 album, Miseducation of Miss Lauryn Hill. I don't have the album. You know, is she rock and roll? She's certainly not rock and roll, but is it rock and roll anymore at the Hall of Fame? Absolutely not. You know, they diversity and spreading it out, and they probably, in their mind, run out of rock bands to put in. I could think of a ton that aren't in. You know, should she be in there for 1 album? I certainly don't think so. I don't even think she should be in because she's really not rock and roll. But even if you want to put her in, is it 1 album? I just showed you bands that have 1 amazing album. There's tons of them. You know, I wouldn't put her in for that. No. Maybe put her in that album. You know, here's a Hall of Fame worthy album, but not as an artist. Next up is who? Billy Idol. All right. I'm going to piss some people off. I'm a fan of Billy Idol. I like Billy Idol. I don't like him as much as the Black Crowes, but I like him. I remember when Rebel Yell came out, his debut, Generation X. Those are great records. Here's the very best of Billy Idol. Is this Hall of Fame worthy? Certainly not to me. Again, Hall of Fame should be the best of the best of the best of the best. He's really, really good. I actually listen to Billy Idol more than I probably listen to the Black Crowes, although the first 2 Black Crowes albums are amazing. But, you know, would I put him in general? No, but would I put him based on who they're putting in? Well, maybe. Next up is In Excess, their first nomination. Same story. I remember In Excess was huge for a couple of years. And it's really sad what happened to Michael Hutchence. But, you know, is their overall career Hall of Fame worthy? Are they the greatest of the greatest? You know, certainly from the country they come from, they are. But overall, yeah, there's a lot of great songs they have. They have Kick was a great album. But, you know, is this the greatest music of all time? Is it timeless? Is it played all the time? Not to me. You know. All right, who's next? Iron Maiden, their 3rd nomination. So here's the story for me with Iron Maiden. I don't like Iron Maiden. I don't like that kind of music. It's not my kind of music. But they should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely. They are, if not the biggest, the 2nd biggest, you know, heavy metal band. They've had an exhaustive career. They've been around forever. They sell the biggest stadiums out forever. They sell a lot of records forever. They're legendary. They're influential. And they don't really get any radio support. You never hear Iron Maiden in general radio. And yet, there they are. They are the band of the people. They're absolutely huge. And they certainly should have been in a long time ago. Next up, Joy Division, New Order. It's their 3rd nomination. Another sad story. Ian Curtis committed suicide. But Joy Division had 2 albums. New Order's got like 10-plus albums. Their music is not my kind of music. I really can't openly speak about them. People love them. They seem to be influential to a certain extent, not to the general music population. Maybe they should be in, but they're not my kind of thing. New Edition, first nomination. Are you fucking kidding me? New Edition should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well, they got like 7 albums, so more albums than you might have realized. But they only have 2 top 10 albums. They're certainly not a rock band. They're an R&B band. But I don't even think in the R&B world they're like some legendary band. So I don't even understand this one at all. You got to be kidding me is my answer for that. Oasis, their 3rd nomination. To me, they're at the same level with Iron Maiden. They should have been in a long time ago. Now, it was always American-oriented, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So when you look at this discography and their length of time and their influence, they're probably like the 3rd or 4th most important British band across the pond. And they cut it in America. They just toured last year to the biggest stadiums and sold them out instantly. They have amazing songs. They have some really great albums, some okay albums. But there's their best of, Stop the Clock, and they have other ones. And that is a hell of a listen right there. Billy Idol's greatest hits doesn't compare to this. Nor does In Excess. Oasis should have been in a long time ago. Pink is next. Her first nomination. I don't know anything about Pink. I know she's huge. She sells out stadiums. She's uber popular, and people love her. But it's not my kind of music, and I don't know. Should she be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Does she qualify as rock and roll? She's got a little edge to her. I'm out on that one, but I'm not a fan. Next up is going to surprise a lot of people. Sade, a band, a singer. I think Sade was great. Probably still is. I don't have all of their albums, but the ones I have are absolutely phenomenal. She is the real deal. She's fantastic live, an amazing band, an amazing singer. And I love Sade, and I love her, and I love them as a band, and I would definitely put Sade in, which might surprise a lot of you, but they, whatever the hell they are, awesome. Next up, Shakira, first nomination. Listen, she's adorable, she's cute, she knows how to move, and she's one of the world's biggest stars. She really is. Sold billions of records, and she's worldwide popular. Just not my kind of music. I don't consider her rock and roll. Again, based that it's now a pop Hall of Fame, although they don't call it that. Maybe she should be in there, but I certainly wouldn't vote for her. Next up, Luther Vandross, his first nomination. Listen, I was around when Luther Vandross was, popular. He wasn't massively huge back then. I know him as a backup singer on Bowie's Young Americans. Died in he had a car accident that was tragic, and then he died later on after a stroke. It's a sad story, but Luther Vandross in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, to me, makes about as much sense as putting in Black Crowes in the Rap Hall of Fame or Soul Hall of Fame. It doesn't make sense. Next up, Wu-Tang Clan, first nomination, certainly a legendary rap band, but same old story. They're not rock and roll. They're not really a crossover for rock and roll. They had 7 albums, Wu-Tang Clan, and 2 top 10 albums. Is that Hall of Fame worthy even for anything? They so influential. They didn't sell huge amounts of records. They only had 2 top 10 albums. So, sometimes there's hyperbole as opposed to factual. But famous band and famous artist, Wu-Tang Clan, I wouldn't put them in, but that's just me. So there is the 17 nominations. I went through them one by one. Who are the 5 that I would choose to go in out of these lists? And very few of them do I really think would be if I had the Hall of Fame. But I chose the Black Crowes, Phil Collins, Iron Maiden, Oasis, and Sade. Those are the 5 that I would choose out of that list. So let me know who you would choose. I remember talking to my sister. My sister always said the Hall of Fame should be the ultimate. And the reality is she's right. But just like the Grammys, it's not about quality. It's about the show. It's about ratings. It's about money. They spent a fortune on this building at the Hall of Fame. They got to keep people going there. So if they don't nominate anybody, nobody's going to go. And if it's just the same small segment of artists that are in there, people won't go. They want to see Shakira get in there. But it's the same problem as the Grammys. It's fake. And in a perfect world, a Hall of Fame should have nothing to do with money. It should have nothing to do with a fancy building, so to speak. It should be about these are the greatest, most important artists of all time. And most of the people on this list don't qualify for that. So that's the reality. But the Grammys is the same damn thing, man. You know, the Grammys is supposed to be about music and real music. And how the hell do I watch the Grammys and 3/4 of the performers aren't really playing and they're not really singing? And then the stupid host gets up after seeing some hot little girl in like a little tutu who's faking the whole thing and say, wow, what an amazing performance. And they win the best new artist. It's like, no. Music should be about really playing and really singing. But of course, this is even in rock and roll now. Bands play the tapes and fake vocals. It should all be outlawed. And you know what? If you get caught doing it, you should be banned. You should be extradited to an island somewhere because music should be about music. You know, the Tony Awards is a show about Broadway. Imagine if somebody won the Tony Awards and then you found out the actors on the stage weren't really performing. They were lip-syncing. They weren't doing the lines because maybe they couldn't remember the lines. So it's all pre-recorded and they're going through the motions. Wouldn't you feel cheated? Well, I can't watch today's music because I'm cheated. I don't care how well they dance. I watched this Tina Turner video the other day, Laserdisc, live in '88, which, by the way, featured Laurie Wisefield from Wishbone Ash on guitar. Tina Turner didn't stop moving for 2 minutes in a stadium of over 100,000 people, where she played in Rio de Janeiro. She didn't stop moving. Every ounce of her vocals was through a microphone and was real. Every note the band played was real. So don't tell me you can't move around and really sing. And if you can't, then don't, because you're either a clown performer or a singer. And if you're a singer, fucking sing. Be real. I can't stand it. How does the Grammys, the ultimate award of music, give awards to people who are not really singing? Because of ratings, because of shows, and extravaganza. And most music fans, not you, because you're watching my channel and you probably agree with at least part of what I'm saying, it's a cheat. It's destroyed music. And rock and roll has died partially because of that. As for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, there's still plenty of rock and roll bands that they could put in. Number one on the list is Jethro Tull. How the hell are they not in? You got all of these are box sets of individual albums. And every one of these albums is really good and important and diverse. And Jethro Tull has it all. And you know what? Jethro Tull was huge. You know, I get these people talking about Queen, and I like Queen. And Queen is bigger now than they ever were. And I talk about when Queen was the biggest they were in their heyday in the late 70s, early 80s. At most in the United States, they played 2 nights at Madison Square Garden. Nothing to shake a leaf at. That's an accomplishment. But a billion bands were playing 2 nights at Madison Square Garden. Jethro Tull used to sell out on one tour 5 or 6 nights at Madison Square Garden and sold out Shea Stadium as well on a stadium tour. So Jethro Tull was a huge band, commercially successful, unique. Nobody's ever been with them like them. They are number one, should be in the Hall of Fame. But there's plenty of other artists that could be in there as well. Like Blue Oyster Cult, totally unique band from Long Island. Here's a best of compilation, 2 discs. Listen to that. This is better than anything that I'm pointing out that's nominated today. Grand Funk. There's the Trunk of Funk back here. You know, America's Band. That box set right there. And here's another 3 CD box set. You know, the critics hated them. They're not perfect. They weren't the best musicians. Another band that sold out Madison Square Garden, the largest arenas, countless times. Sold out Shea Stadium. A really big band that the critics hated. And you know what? If you're going to put people in for one album, like Lauryn Hill or, you know, Melissa Etheridge's greatest hits, doesn't compare to Grand Funk. So, another band. Jay Giles Band. Here's 2 CD collection of the best of them. An amazing career. A phenomenal listen. Yeah, not all their albums are great. Some of their albums are just okay. But over the course of a career, a lot of great stuff. They should be in there. And you know what? It made me think of Jeff Buckley. They want to put him in probably for Grace. One album that I never really hear out there, except for Hallelujah, which is just a cover. You're going to put somebody in. What happened to Jim Croce? He had a tragic life. Died in an airplane crash right when he started making it. Here's his best of 14 tracks that are amazing tracks. Now, I'm not even saying Jim Croce deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but I listen to Jim Croce and I hear Jim Croce on the radio in places I go to way more than Jeff Buckley or Lauryn Hill or Joy Division or whoever else. A lot of people still out there that should be in the Hall of Fame. So that's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love your comments. As always, I appreciate you watching the Alan Rosenberg Show, and I will see you next time on the Alan Rosenberg Show.